Voices, hey y'all. Hey, happy one day after Labor Day. I
One
know a lot
day.
the one day after Labor Day. I know a lot of y'all was out there enjoying yourselves last night. So shout out to everybody who had a great Labor Day across the city of Milwaukee and surrounding areas. I was just talking to Jermaine, and he was just telling me, how things were from his musical
Yeah,
standpoint
man.
and his just personal
Yeah.
standpoint out there having a great time.
City was on fire last night. Cream City had an event going on, so it was good to see my peers at Cream City, and then also the all white affair that was at Perkin Boys
Yeah.
on the grill. My boy Alex Jr. and that whole clan, man. It was a crazy, crazy night, crazy show. I enjoyed myself, man, and man, I'm grateful for things like that to do in the city because there's a lot of that stuff going on, man. You know, if we share the information, people can come out and enjoy themselves as well.
Yeah, and I like that. I love that the options are there for the folks that really trying to get in the mix and really enjoy themselves. So shout out to y'all if y'all got outside this weekend, enjoyed some of that beautiful weather and some of that beautiful surrounding. Byron, but what about you, my man? How you doing? Uh, okay, no mic, but you good over there? Okay, it's good. Yeah, all right. He's not mic'd up right now, but do want to thank y'all for tuning in back to Be a Voice. This past weekend, we've definitely had a lot of things going on. I know the big Labor Day Fest is going on as well, so we'll always make sure we shout out to all our hardworking folks all across the country and our laborers of all types that's out here doing their thing. Whether you working on the front lines and and some more blue collar work, or if you behind the scenes and some of the white collar work, we do want to thank you and everybody else in between that are out here just contributing to our uh, whole economic society that we are just graciously just holding on to at this moment. So what's going on, man? Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Be a Voice Radio, sir. How was your weekend?
Weekend wasn't too bad. It was the holidays. How about yours?
It was cool. It was actually pretty chill. I took time, got away from Milwaukee for a little bit, so I enjoyed that. And then just came back and just hop right back in the mix. Just take care of family, doing a little cooking as usual, trying to enjoy the end of the week. Excuse me, end of the holiday weekend. So all right, so we all good.
There we go. Oh, there we go. All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Was he not going through before? We
No,
good? Okay,
it
cool.
it was actually on mute.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah,
So
okay.
yeah. Oh, let
There
me
we
ask
go.
him again. So how was your so how was your weekend?
No, it's all good. It was the holidays, so
Yeah.
I'm sure just like Milwaukee, all the listeners out there, you take advantage of the Labor Day holiday. So I saw a lot of people out
Yeah.
hanging,
Yeah.
living life.
Yeah. A lot of people was definitely
Um,
kicking it this weekend. Me
and
Jermaine
it was a
talking
lot
about
going on too.
that.
Different things that people shared on social media, what they
Mhm.
saw. I think some of the images from what do they call it now? Like the meetups.
Oh
the,
yeah. I gotta. Yeah, that's funny that you. It's funny that you was talking about that. That was.
Yeah.
I know we didn't have it planned from some of our conversation we had last
Yeah.
night, but that was one of the things that I was because it's really tying into the political game because
Yeah.
they coming
Yeah,
up with stuff
I
real
think
quick,
I
right?
saw that folks were calling for some changes to be made
Yeah.
to kind of prevent these kind of mob meetups.
Pretty
Of,
swiftly too, then, right?
People. It's a massive amount of people,
Mhm.
a lot of cars,
Mhm.
a lot of people out there
So
making noise.
are they calling for changes pretty quick? I heard. Is that some of the reports that you've been seeing?
Yeah, I mean, essentially, people just wanted to like end. So kind of our generation, we had traffic, right?
Yeah,
So we made our
couple
own
burnouts,
fun.
but none of what they got. Not the
It
horsepower.
wasn't. It wasn't this level,
Man, it was not the horsepower. It was V6s, a couple V8s, but it wasn't like what they got.
Yeah, you didn't have any
500 pound, 500 horsepower to the wheel.
Few people had
Yeah.
Hemis, but like we talking about, we talking about some serious power.
Couple turbos over there too. I was looking at last night. I was like, okay, yeah,
the burnouts are serious.
The parents are gonna be upset with those cars.
I get it. So for the listeners that remember in the early 2000s, you had young people who made their own fun. They were on Capitol Drive. They were on North Avenue. They were on Fond du Lac. And they were on Sherman, and they were staying up a little late. They were being loud with the music. But for the most part, you really didn't have too many violent situations happening. But a lot of disturbances, right? Because that's to be expected with a massive amount of people that show up. And they didn't really have that many outlets. We didn't have that many outlets, so people are then left to their own devices, and they figure out how they can come together. And I would at least say try to keep it peaceful, and not cause too much of an issue.
Yeah, you know.
So it's one of the things that we could continue to talk about.
Definitely was it looks like it was. I mean, from like you said, from what you were saying, ours was based off of a lot of it was like the let out after like the teen club or one of the little spots.
Yeah.
There's I think.
What teen club were you at?
For me, I didn't really do the H2O, but a lot of my cousins was doing H2O. But for me, I did
H2O. Shouts out to the H2O attendees.
I did the jungle, and I did a little bit of the Amistad. So the jungle, you know about the jungle? So the jungle, they had made it for a teen night, and I was able to enjoy the teen night. So what's crazy about teen nights back then is that you forget that they had a section for the teens, but then there was adults in there too. So we had to stay clear away from the bar, but we could have
sections. So
but it was different time back then.
That's crazy because
you had to get I think you had to get a bracelet.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Show that you were an adult, and then you
That's
could.
crazy.
Yep, the bracelets for the adults for sure. Yeah.
H2O. As soon as you said it, that brought back memories.
You remember 414?
Yeah,
414.
I did get to catch 414.
Man, I got one even better. What was it? But not City Club. But it was called Park. It was downtown. Jesus, what was the name of it? But you had to get dressed up to go to it.
Was it? It wasn't the Have a Nice Day Cafe, was it?
No, not Have a Nice Day. It was called Park something, but it was a club.
Wait, downtown?
Downtown.
Was it Note?
Parkview?
No, not
that.
Okay,
Parkview?
It
wasn't Parkview, no. Yeah,
it was downtown.
That was the era when Milwaukee
it
had
was downtown. That was a joint that you had to dress up. It was a white building.
The one on Wisconsin Avenue.
Yeah, on Wisconsin Avenue. So what was it? Pier?
It was Pier, wasn't it?
It was pure
because it had the shiny outside.
Yeah, Pure.
Shouts out to the Pure attendees.
Yeah, I never had to
get dressed up like you were going to work.
Yeah,
like
or you wasn't getting in.
That went viral the other day. That going viral.
I remember riding past it. I never got to experience that.
Young people dressed up in office clothes going to the teen club.
So right, real. That's how it was.
It was a thing.
We was wearing straight all them little cardigans and all the crazy outfits we was wearing.
This is a funny thing though. As much as we caught some flack back then. Yeah. Shouts out to Alderman McGee, who was like, listen, he was one of the defenders of the young people. And he was like, they trying to have their fun. Let's support them to have their own locations.
All right.
And if they do want to traffic, I think he proposed the parking lot at Miller Park. That he was saying, okay, nobody lives over there like that.
Right.
That y'all can go over there, blast y'all music, and have y'all fun over there as long as you do it safely. And I think he even said like MPD could even watch y'all, make sure everything was cool. But like, the dynamics that we're seeing today from the images that you all are still sharing online, where you're seeing fireworks, you're seeing
that's
the
all based off
burnouts,
of the LA
hanging out the TV, at the car, and like super loud. Now we got the dynamics where right now President Trump is trying to send the National Guard and military forces into U.S. cities, and a lot of them are black run. So we talk about Chicago, you talk about New York and D.C., and he's attempting to say, if you don't, local authorities, if y'all don't handle it, we will. Do we see something like that happening here in Milwaukee?
But you know what? You know what, Mr. Crowley? The thing is, too, when you look over the weekend and see the crime that happened in Illinois from the 60 people being shot over the Labor Day weekend. This stuff happens every year, though. Like holidays, the 4th.
Yeah, it always
spikes up.
Yep.
So now he can use what just happened as the reason why he can send in the National Guard.
Oh, that's automatic.
60 people getting shot, and it's just terrible city. And so if he can,
but this is the crazy part. He just cut gun violence.
Right.
The same guy trying to claim, I want to fix it.
Yeah.
Is essentially he's creating the issue. He's contributing to the problems of the issue. Yep. And it's like, I totally get, we want our communities to be in order. We want our communities to be safe, but we already know every summer things spike. So every holiday things spike. Every every time you don't have like the infrastructure in place
Right.
to have the
Mhm.
violence interrupters, and shouts out to the violence interrupters that we have at Forward
Right.
for Life. Like when you don't have those things in place,
Right.
but then you want to cry foul that you know, all of a sudden you got to use the National Guard to go send that into neighborhoods,
Mhm.
but you're restricting funding from going into those neighborhoods. You're cutting funding
Yeah.
from going into those same places, just so then you can again come around and say, "Oh, I got the solution." Here goes some military.
Yep.
Here goes some National Guard who they aren't used to walking in our communities too. So it's
I mean, he's
it's
using it for
interesting to
everything
be
else
able to
but that.
see how they
But do you think
flexing like that?
But do you think that he's using this as a strategic move to start a war? Because if you send him into Chicago, the first time a National Guard gets shot, it's gonna be an issue. Just like when the police officers get shot, and you got this whole everybody come together and try to figure out, and there's chaos everywhere. Just imagine a National Guard getting shot in the city that he was deployed to.
Yeah.
You're
Chicago's
putting
a whole
people who
different
don't
monster.
have the training, who
Exactly.
don't have the preparation
Exactly.
to go into a situation. And what's funny is, and I'm sure our listeners have been watching this, the National Guardsmen in DC are now planting gardens, and they're like doing landscaping.
I saw the video of them picking up trash.
And it's like, what was the reason y'all wanted them here again? Because right now, whatever you thought they were going to be doing, they are now trying to find busy work for them, because that's not how you prevent violence. That's not how you stop shootings. That's not how you prevent crime, by just having random people just walking around.
Yeah.
That's not how this works.
Picking up trash, 3,400 tons of.
Now, I do want
mulch.
neighborhoods to
It's
be
crazy.
clean, right? I do want neighborhoods to look good.
Yeah.
But like, that's what city government is for. That's what, you know, when you invest into giving dollars back to the local level and letting them handle it.
What he says is like $1 million a day to deploy the National Guard out there
Per day. Per day.
Yeah, it's been.
What could our communities do with $1 million? Give us $1 million per day.
Yeah.
So how long have they been out on the ground? So
it's like $144 for city workers per city worker or something like that a day. It was like $500 or something per National Guard a day or something like that.
I was asking how long have they been on the ground?
How long's the deployment been so far?
It's been what, at least 3 weeks, 4 weeks? Yeah, it's been like 3 weeks. Because
you got 21 days.
We seen them going through the neighborhoods. Yeah, they stopped in Georgetown. It was going through all the northeast and northwest Philly, DC neighborhoods. So yeah, it's been about 3 weeks. I'm sure he pull up, was gonna say like 22 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's $22 million.
Yeah, and some.
And
we don't know, we don't know what the
minimum.
federal agents is paying for either. So let's think about that. What they paying for federal agents and the overtime and the amount of overtime that's all being pushed back to the tax dollars.
Yeah, a lot of this should come down to us actually following the money.
Yeah.
Even when you talk about the Border Patrol agents, and somebody, matter of fact, Sister Herrera, big shouts out to Sister Herrera, Mother Herrera.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're giving bonuses to people to join the Border Patrol and Customs Department, doing this like mass recruitment effort.
Yeah,
up to $50,000 per person.
Yeah.
And I actually saw one of the ads pop on social media, so I was like, wow, like they're going all out. In the last bill negotiations that they've been doing, and some of the cuts, right, when the big beautiful bill increased the amount of customs and Border Patrol funding by a mammoth amount. So, you know, we're seeing a shift from a focus where we all know when you invest into solutions and in funding, those things work. But when you don't, the reverse, and when you just go towards a military-based, criminalization-based approach, it really doesn't equal to the same amount.
And you know
what the benefits are for the community.
Absolutely, big time. And it seemed like a broken record. But one thing I did see, I seen a lot of them might have been signing themselves up for a deal that they weren't really expecting. So it seemed like only the ones that were guaranteed that $50,000 returning Border Patrol agents, and newly returning or new signed on agents were not guaranteed that $50,000. So that's something that I've been seeing as well. So I want to let the viewers remind you of that. That $50,000 bonus was just like a gameplay, just to recruit. If you weren't already a federal agent, you weren't you're not probably going to be in that mix again, that $50,000. So
is that how it works?
it was a little game plan, a little play move by them. I was seeing a lot of people reporting about it, like, yeah, a lot of people think they're getting this 50,000. Psych, it's only going to be for people who are already federal Border Patrol agents, and then new sign-ons, you know, they're locked in. So that was the other thing.
Interesting.
You're locked in. So it's just like, I sign up, we sign up. It's not like you mean, oh man, no, I'm good. I'm gonna go back to, you know, local Iowa police or wherever. No, you locked in now. Gotcha. 2-3 years or whatever the case may be. So don't even think you thought you was about to sign up, get that 50K. Come on, just think about that. Everybody signing up getting 50K. You got $20,000, 20,000 folks sign on from Montana, Iowa, all these places that's just ready to leave. And then they like, oh, this is the ticket, baby. We're out of here. And they're like, nope. But we got you for 3 years, though. Thanks for signing on. Matter of fact, go down to the border over here by this black painted wall that we just got down here, fresh paint, and go down there and patrol that, because it was a game plan. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Y'all got calls, man. I seen some. Was like,
yeah, we did get a caller.
Yeah. Oh, Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. I know you want it. Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Hey, good morning to you, man. Hey, you know, I was listening to you guys cracking about DC, you know, and I seen some posts with some of the players on there with jury talking about how safe they feel. Not all that stuff. That's garbage. I mean, it's not garbage, but they feel safe. But because the National Guards are not going to, they only deployed there for about 30 days, unless there's an extension. Now, listen, there's already been 191 guns that the Friday took off the street, and all these ain't black people that they getting off the street. I mean, that they arrested. And far as the homeless population, look, brother, they're setting a lot of those homeless people up to get their Section 8 vouchers. They put them in these programs. Mayor Norquist did the same thing here in Milwaukee. Went under the 27th Street Bridge and cleaned it out because it was havoc at that time. Gave them people low-income housing, got them over in South Lawn, Berryland, and if they stayed there for a year without be consistent there for a year, they would get a Section 8 voucher until they got on their feet. A lot of them just went back to the world, man. I mean, they go back. Some people just want to go back to that tent life, man. You know, you can't help them. But if you look at the 197 guns that were took as a Friday, 191 guns as a Friday, I don't know what they're going to get over the weekend off the streets. I'm happy about that. And I don't want nobody to believe that it's just blacks getting arrested during this period. It's not. And I want to say one more thing before I get out your way. When you really look at this thing for real, do you really feel safe when little dude or little guy, whoever, a little female, little mama come up to you with that hoodie on and that doggone shyster's mask, that little poo shiesty mask on? Do you really feel safe? That's what you need to be organizing. You need to be pushing that to the city council. Look, because other states have banned that deal. When I was a kid, they banned all ski masks because there was a copycat ski mask rapist going across the country raping. They outlawed the ski mask. You couldn't even wear a ski mask when I was a kid. Now we got these boys running around here to become a fashion statement. Can you really say you safe about that? You need to be pushing that legislation to the city so they can do something about that. And I got something else to tell you. How about pushing the legislation on these black tinted windows? The reason why they don't push that? Everybody, y'all are breaking the law that's in there right now. You got tinted windows. You know why you don't push that? Because most of you people utilize that particular law-breaking method to hide and just want to be your car. It make your car look slick. But guess what? If we just dealt with that, we would have a probable cause of pulling over folks and getting a lot of this stuff off the street, especially these people that are uninformed and how to handle a firearm. Listen, man, it's bigger than what you guys sitting around talking about the National Guard. If they come through there, don't you want them? You scared to go to 27th and Burleigh at night to get gas, little niggas? Let's keep it real. So I'm going to get on out of here, man. I don't care. I'm from the neighborhood. But I'm still got my head on a swivel when I go in them places, man. We better think about trying to get this thing back on track because the George Floyd episode is still living, and instead of us being directed towards the authorities, we done turned against each other. Remember, all of that hype was against the authorities. Now it's done turned against us. So that's where I'm at with that.
Appreciate your call, but at the antithesis of what you're saying, though, is that the only way to solve those things is that I have to send a whole military force to get young people to stop wearing a mask, to get the community to be safe. And that's just not how it works. So if that's the only solution that you want to present, when there are 10 other things that we could use so that we can have a holistic approach. And then also, let's talk about homelessness real quick. If your only approach is to use a force of military to have them approach folks who have been through definitely different levels of trauma and situations that have caused them to have mental illness issues that they're more likely to be able to experience. That don't really sound like the best use of public resources to me. That instead of having mental health professionals, instead of having folks that are like the street angels that do homeless engagement work, and instead of giving them the funding and the resource to do it, you want to give it to a military person with a M16 in their hand and have them walk up and down Burleigh and Capitol Drive or Valete to engage homeless folks. That just don't sound like the right approach to me, especially if you're talking about communities of color and their experiences with law enforcement, their experiences with, even seeing militarized tactics and criminalized tactics to address them. That's the only approach that you got. I think your basis is off. But I hear you though, that you want to be safe. I hear you that you want solutions, but I think your solutions are limited. What do you think, Bryan?
I just feel like why would shake the can anymore? We already in such a hostile environment between the two cities. I mean, we even look at, Detroit, I mean, I'm glad I haven't mentioned them, but, little conversations that I've been seeing, I just don't like the attention being brought on our city when we have so many people, like you said, on the ground that's in spaces that's working. I'm always a fan of bringing in more funding, and, obviously, unfortunately, we're not going to get what we want. So the best thing for us to do is just kind of hopefully internally find a way to work together and, I guess, I don't know, support each other's organizations the best we can in the funding spaces and in the business space, because bringing in anybody else that's from any space that we're in right now, the current administration is going to do nothing but just cause, more havoc, in the most nonpartisan way I can say that. But also I want to say that the tent laws, yes, I agree that yes, I've had tent on every vehicle I've owned, but also the front tent I don't agree with. I did talk to one person, and this was a black woman here in Milwaukee, the only person I ever asked why she had tent windows on her car, and she said it was a safety reason. She said, because my baby daddy is crazy. That's the first time, every time I ever ask somebody about the tent, of course, some people just like it because they want to be sneaky. But for the most part, I know the other reasons why is that people don't want to be seen. When I was young, we was getting pulled over up and down Capitol for just side tent of just, darker tinted windows. Now, they be right through. Everybody got, 20% to lower on their front windows now.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's not against the law if your tent, because they got
if you got a
reader,
so
you can have tent. It's just I think limo is out of the question.
Yeah, but anything under 35, I think, or 25 is
20.
like,
it's like 20 something. I think it's like
25 or 30.
So but to be honest with you, like, if we gonna have a real conversation, some people do use it because they don't want to be seen and they're doing criminal activity. But when the sun is hot, that keeps your car from, especially if you got leather seats, that keeps your car from heating up. That kind of shields a little bit of the heat compared to if you didn't have a tent
in Arizona. In
Gotcha.
Arizona and Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we got a guest that's calling in.
Should we take it?
We got State Representative Darrin Madison joining us.
How's it going?
Good. How you doing, Darrin?
Good.
Or State Rep Madison, as I should say, my predecessor, or my successor, I should say, in the state assembly. So big shouts out to you and appreciate your time today. I do know that you are in Madison calling us from the state capitol, and just want to give you a chance to just kind of introduce yourself, but also talk about what brings you to the state capitol today.
Yeah, absolutely. Darrin Madison, born and raised um, in Milwaukee. I'm a son of the city. I am a longtime organizer as well as an environmentalist. And today I'm in the Capitol specifically because there's some efforts happening today as it relates to our minimum wage, right? Folks are here today advocating for a $20 minimum wage. And we're hoping that we can introduce a bill this session that can move us in that direction.
No, that's awesome. I've been paying attention to even politics outside of the U.S. and a number of governments are looking at minimum wage increases and things of that nature. So, it becomes and continues to be a hot topic issue. What brings your focus on, out of all the solutions, increasing the minimum wage to $20 and doing that now? Why is that so much of a priority right now?
Yeah, absolutely. As families continue to struggle in navigating some of the federal policies that are being passed and executive actions that are happening with tariffs and other things, right? It's getting even harder to put food on the table, to manage exuberant energy costs, as well as other issues. And our minimum wage here in the state of Wisconsin is still $7.50, which is way behind a lot of folks in the nation. So it's time that instead of falling behind, Wisconsin gets ahead, right? Especially as our motto is forward.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of young people that pay attention to wage rates because, especially for those that go straight into the workforce from school, from K-12 education, and then they, get into the workforce to try to provide for themselves. We know that they are very much affected by what the lower wage rates are. Talk about how young people are perceiving the work that you're doing around focusing on the minimum wage being higher.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. Like you said, right. Young people are joining the workforce more and more at right out of high school as the access points to post-secondary education becomes harder. And there are waiting lists for some apprenticeship programs. But in conversations I've been having with young folks about specifically increasing the minimum wage, most folks are saying it's about time. Even as you think about like folks who work in the restaurant industry, right, where they are subject to the tip minimum wage, which is a whole another subset of conversation. Folks are really understanding that it's critical that we raise our minimum wage. And then you talk about other bigger things, right? Like buying a home, raising a family.
Right.
The cost of buying a home is so becoming more and more inaccessible to folks that, at least folks of my generation, right? I'm a Generation Z young person. We don't believe that we'll ever get the chance to buy homes. A lot of us are doing things like getting together with a group of friends and buying homes and things like that. So by increasing our minimum wage, one, we're creating a stronger access point for young people to think about their long-term quality of life, and also think about their families and their futures.
Absolutely. Thank you for focusing on that, because we know a lot of young people, if they catch this, they'll be listening to us on social media. So really appreciate you covering that. And give us some insight of just like the battle of trying to pass a policy like this, the reaction that you're getting from your colleagues in the legislature, and who's with you, and who do you have to work to get to join you?
Yeah. Things here in the Capitol as it relates to passing policy is more stressful than ever. right? We are closer in margin to a balanced legislature than we've been in the past 10 plus years. As you know, as the Democratic minority is 5 votes away from a majority in the Assembly and 2 votes away from a majority in the Senate. You'd think that there would be more collaboration happening to pass meaningful legislation to benefit all Wisconsinites, regardless of background or political values. But we're not there right now. It is very hard to have conversations with my colleagues, even when they want to have, especially across the aisle, even when they support the ideas that that I'm introducing or other folks are introducing, because we're getting close to an election year, and that means that folks don't want to give folks a win. And the reality is that when we work together on both sides of the aisle, we all win.
Absolutely. I definitely received that same resistance, even on issues that I could get my, at the time, Republican colleagues to agree with. But, publicly, as a party, they would not budge, because that is very real. If they feel like you are about to benefit on that in the interim of the election cycle, and you get to ride a wave of passing whatever that is, they will say like, oh, we're just not going to pass it right now. So totally get your frustrations and your experience on that. What would you say is the biggest arguments against raising the minimum wage, how it benefits or creates issues, and just give us your points of countering what you usually hear against it?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of folks talk about, how by raising the minimum wage, you are, basically giving handouts to folks who are unskilled labor, right? Or unskilled laborers, right? The reality is that by raising the minimum wage, we're giving folks an access to a higher quality of life, which in turn benefits all workers, and that likely increases in more often than not. You see other higher skilled careers raising their wages across the board, and then for other issues, you have folks talking about at least on the nonprofit side, folks talking about how if you raise wages, they'll go out of business because they can't adjust to that. But more often than not, states have passed minimum wage laws that adjust over time and build up into a sustainable change, giving businesses, nonprofits, the ability to adjust. And I think it's about time that Wisconsin adjusts to the reality that folks aren't able to take care of themselves under the current constraints of our minimum wage, which means that public safety becomes a bigger issue, which means that folks' access to health care becomes a bigger issue, alongside a increased dependency on other social services.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We're going to go ahead and go to break. When we come back, we will continue to talk about the implications for 2026 and our democracy.
Wisconsin Voices here with Bryan Sanders, community outreach organizer for Wisconsin Voices, alongside Mr. David Bowen, executive director for Wisconsin Voices. We had a call on the line, and right back in. Call you on air, Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices.
Hey, morning to you, gentlemen. Name Mr. McMurtry. I was just listening to, and first of all, thanks for taking my call.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Sure. However, I real concerned about the state rep that was speaking on increasing the minimum wage. Just kind of doing a little math. I know first and foremost that would be like 150% increase from where we're at now. I think sometime I don't know what their reason is to try to adopt a bill like that at this point, but I think we should be more focused on having a governor that's getting ready to leave and trying to find the best potential candidate that's going to do the best job for us. Because if we leave our governmentship in terms of to the Republicans, we already up against the wall with this administration, and it's coming daily with these negative derogatories and dictatorships and things of that nature. I think that we're reaching at the wrong place. But I want to make this comment regarding two other things, and I'll get going. First of all, I do want to question the mayor for that appointment of that gentleman that's a convicted felon for murder. I think he didn't seem to give a lot of other opportunities for some of our old heads who's probably been around the block probably twice that he's been. And so I think I don't know what his reasoning in particular was. I haven't really got a lot of information on him yet. I've listened to him on a couple occasions. I guess I just have to wait and see. Just like with the MPS lady, that our state's superintendent, we did have skepticism about her and her record and all that. But to be honest with you, at this point in time, I think she's doing a reasonably well job. She's got our monies back from the state, and so she's kind of on track of doing some pretty reasonable things. So last I want to say is, with this heavy duty crime wave that we involved with within our city of Milwaukee, years ago we had substations within the police department where they would put these substations and have officers in various municipalities. So, regular neighbors and people who wanted to go in and talk to them and obviously get to know our communities better. I don't think we should continue trying to fight with our law enforcement, but if we can, we should try to draw some type of cohesiveness to where we can talk with them. And if you think about it, now take some of these municipalities, Metcalf, 06, Highland Parks, all of these different places. And if we can get more insight, because most of that, what are they doing, this drag stuff in the communities?
Street takeovers.
Yeah, so if we get more insight, because we ain't really going to get it because it's more from the media, social media's inputs and what have you. If we can just do a pilot, and I'm going to write a letter to the mayor, we need to do a pilot within the community. I mean, they have a substation down in the square, Milwaukee, downtown there. What is that called? Milwaukee Square or whatever that big place is people go. They have a police substation there. Why not get some funding and fund one of our high crime areas, maybe 06 or whatever, and try it and see that it can work. These officers can be stationed there in terms of their shifts. We can be able to walk in freely if we got information. I know they always says, snitches get stitches, whatever, but the hell with that. We're beyond that now. We're saving lives, and basically, in particular, our children's lives. So I think a substation would be critical in our communities right now, and that would help us kind of deter a lot of things. Because what the police do now, they stay on the perimeters and they wait for something to go wrong. Then you'll see them down in the community, flying around here, running over everybody, treating us like we're aliens. So, but if we can have the opportunity to have a more in-depth walk-in and talk to them, get information, and that resource can go a long way. And with that, I'm going to move on. And if you have any comments, I'll be more happy to listen to you.
I was just going to say,
you,
brother, you did say, were you saying that you don't want to see an increase in the wage at all since where it's been at? Or you're just saying leave it where it is?
Spinning wheels. We're spinning wheels.
Gotcha. All right. Well, appreciate your call.
Yes,
a lot of folks would say, that wage hasn't been changed from $7.25 at the federal level, at least for the last maybe 20 years plus. So to not change it at all would hurt a lot of people that are at that lower end of the wage spectrum where, they're not seeing those increases. But we do have State Representative Darrin Madison back with us. Appreciate you coming on, Darrin. Darrin, we had a caller that was just, he shared a number of points, but he was saying, how can we support raising the minimum wage to the proposed degree and level that you have, and it be beneficial rather than hurt people? Give us some insight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, if you look at the trends of where a lot of bigger companies are right now, they're yielding a substantial profit, and have been especially since the pandemic. This is just rebalancing the books to allow workers to have more. And as you know, or most folks should know, when folks have more, typically they spend more, especially when you talk about folks who are working class and middle class citizens. Folks at the top of the top threshold of the of income typically spend less. So you'd have an increase in commerce, an increase in revenue for businesses, and so on. So there's a baseline balance there, and then beyond that, you have to look at what kind of incentives the state provides to businesses, and what more can we do to support our economy.
Gotcha. Really appreciate you sharing that, and I totally get where you're saying. I remember advocating for a living wage at Milwaukee County back in 2014, more than a decade ago. And we were talking about mainly security guards, janitors, some of the staff with the county where, they're not making big amounts of wages. We're talking about folks on the lower end of the spectrum, even if, they missed to the point where we passed it and when it got implemented, and we pretty much caught people up and gave them their pretty much what they were owed because of the increase. And those checks hit their mailboxes right around Christmas. And we had staff that were in tears because they didn't realize how much more they were able to make from their own labor to be able to support their families, buy presents for their kids, be able to pay rent, be able to breathe a little bit, right? Because we know that the minimum wage is so close to the line of poverty that you barely can keep up with expenses. And as you've highlighted, Darrin, State Representative Darrin Madison, the companies that are charging you more and our community more for all the services don't necessarily take all of those increases and invest it back into employees as well. So I do see it also, like you said, as a rebalance. And the more that we could do to educate people on that, the better. Go ahead.
Like I was saying earlier, right? Like if you look at our current the current structure of our minimum wage, right? We're paying on the back end right now anyway, right? So there are folks who are, who need more help from our government, and from nonprofits and from all forms of service providers right now because of our current minimum wage. So it's costing us more, right now, than it would cost us if we increase the minimum wage. And then if you add public safety as a factor, that adds an increased cost, right? If you look at the cost of a homicide in the city of Milwaukee, it's $2 million through, the combination of costs, right? In communities where minimum wage policies have been passed, either at the state level or at the municipal level, crime has decreased in those communities as well.
Got you. Evidence-based approach right there. We've had some comments from folks that they are on either side of the how to address the street takeovers and the violence spike that's happening in the community when it comes to like murders. Give us some insight of your perspective on the national approach, where you have the White House saying they favor sending in the National Guard into cities, particularly not cities in red states, but cities in blue states that are run by Black leadership, and having the National Guard to address crime or violence situations. What's your stance on the best way to address crime and violence?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at the communities where the current federal administration has talked about sending the National Guard, or you take cities like Baltimore, Chicago, even Oakland, and you look at their crime rates, they've been decreasing. Not to say that there's no role for the federal government in helping the reduction of crimes, but the current approach is not it. These communities, especially as you look at the federal budget that we've passed, they need resources. They don't need additional public safety resources. And as you look at those same cities, they've implemented models like summer youth employment programs and violence prevention efforts, as well as increasing resources in investing in critical services like transportation, education, and so on. And those are the key contributors to the reduction in crime in those communities. So even as you look at our city, where we've also been included in that list of folks, and we've also, in totality, crime has been reducing to different degrees. We should be looking at the models we've been implementing through the Office of Community Wellness and Safety, through partnerships with the medical college, through the work that's happening at the county with the violence prevention, the credible messengers, as models that need investment. And we should be leaning on the federal government to secure, send those resources our way, as well as the state. And we're trying to do that as well.
Very good points being made. Appreciate you sharing that. And you even dived into violence prevention as well. Let me see if we can fit in a caller before we close real quick, so we can get their perspective, and we'll jump back on to violence prevention. Give us a sec, Darrin.
Yeah, first I wanted to say, if you really wanted to take care of your homeless problems, you can take that $2 million that NPS gave to that dog park for them dogs to go down there and piss and urinate, and that $88,000 for that reckless driving car. The problem is this mayor and this Jeffrey Norman, or whatever his name is, who did not want to be, who claimed he earned that pay raise. They both need to disconnect themselves, because they out of line and they out of touch. And they only move when masks are standing right next to them, because every time they stand up there, everybody got Bojago smile like somebody farted and then say, excuse me. The problem with the crime, these youth have guardians. Nobody don't want to give the guardians. They know how to say hallelujah on Sunday. They know how to say, put it in me, and hallelujah this damn ticket. Have a good day.
All right, and just to clarify that, as far as the Milwaukee Dog Park, majority of the source of the money came from business improvements districts, corporate sponsors, public sector partners, and individual donors. NPS Foundation typically focus on fundraising and donations of educational programs, student support, and school-related projects, not public parks. So I heard that same rumor last week, and I had looked into it already. Didn't see anything that said NPS had donated to the park. If it does come back up, yeah, I'll talk about it, but for sure I would say the county over Milwaukee Public Schools would donate to a park. Would you agree, Mr. David Bowen?
Yeah, man.
Back to you, sir.
I appreciate you diving into the details, because I was going to say it, and we still have Darrin as we close here. 2026 is going to be a mammoth year. Misinformation, disinformation.
Yes. Segue, huh?
Right, to be able to so folks are making decisions on who supports the solutions that will actually address the things happening in our community. Darrin, what say you about the essential outreach that needs to happen in 2026 so voters have access to the correct information so they can make decisions?
Absolutely. I want to take a step back before I go there, just so that every listener on the every listener knows, at the municipal level, they are responsible for your cops, your sewers, your garbage pickup, your streets. The county is responsible for your parks, our local jails, our senior services, our quality of life programs, and then at the state level, we kind of dabble in everything, but we're the purse for a lot of municipalities and counties, and then the federal level does similar. So making sure you point the energy at the right folks is really critical, because there is going to be a wave of misinformation out there for you throughout this next year and over the next few months. As it relates to the outreach that needs to happen for 2026, is that we as elected officials and folks who are politically engaged really need to inform the public about, one, the roles that we occupy, and two, the things we are really doing to help benefit their quality of life. Because from the outside looking in, right, not many things are changing for folks. The same abandoned house that folks were looking at 10 years ago is the same abandoned house that's there.
Right.
In some communities. So being transparent about what we have been doing and what are the barriers to getting what we need done in our communities is something that I've prioritized and through my work in the legislature, and acknowledging when we fail as a governmental body to meet the mark is really critical to get folks off the couch and engage politically. Honestly, I can say that the state has failed Milwaukee and Milwaukee County for decades. And I am genuinely sorry that we're not in the, I'm not in the position to deliver on the promises that I've made yet. But we're moving there. We're moving in that direction. But it takes winning 2026 to get there.
There you go. And we appreciate the passion. We appreciate people paying attention and being able to push for change, being able to push for different. State Representative Darrin Madison, we appreciate all the work that you put in. We know that you're a part of a body of 99 in the Assembly, and on the other side in the Senate, there are 33 other people that have to agree with you when it comes to changing policy, when it comes to investing in our communities and throughout the state of Wisconsin, and the person in the governor's house that has to sign off on that too. So you're a part of that process, and we appreciate everything that you have done to contribute. So we hope that you feel fulfilled and ready to go, as we will also be an organization on the ground engaging folks. And we love the community, and we appreciate your passion.
No doubt. Yeah. Great interview. All right, y'all. We wrapping it up. So next week we'll have some more topics, more people on. Thanks, David. Thanks for coming as always. We'll see y'all next week. God bless. Be safe.